Asus ROG Ally vs Nintendo Switch 2 comparison. Specifications. Let's start with the hardware and software you can expect to see with these devices. For starters, the ROG Ally has a substantial amount of both hardware and software on its side. The best version of the ROG Ally comes with an AMD Ryzen Z1 Extreme processor with 8 cores, 16 threads, and 12 GPU computer units. Even if you get the scaled-back version, it still comes with a Ryzen Z1, but this one comes with 6 cores and 12 threads with 4 computer units. The Asus ROG Ally also comes with some of the most diverse software for handheld PCs. The first big thing is that it comes with Windows 11, allowing it to play most video game software. When managing your game collection, the system comes with an Armory crate, giving you access to all your downloaded games no matter where they are from. The Switch 2 is, by contrast, going to be a much simpler system, but one that will still be impressive. For one thing, it has been rumored that the chip for the Switch 2 will be a custom chip based on the NVIDIA Tegra X1 chip. This will give it a powerful resumption ability that could hypothetically include ray tracing and a DLSS. Regarding software, the Switch 2 will have an updated version of the proprietary Nintendo Switch software that was used as the OS in the original Switch. It is a fine piece of software, and it allows you to play Nintendo games, whether they're physical or digital downloads. Battery. Both of these consoles are going to be battery dependent, but there are some clear differences between them here. The Switch 2 will likely pick up from its predecessor, meaning it will have 5 to 12 hours worth of battery life on a full charge. This is directly contrasted by the battery life of the Ally, which is at best 3 hours, but more often than not will give me 2. Display. Now, both consoles are going to be equal in one area, and that is in their displays. Both will have LCD screens, with the Switch 2 potentially having an 8-inch screen, while the ROG Ally does have a 7-inch screen. Some people see this as a downgrade, considering that the old Switch had an OLED screen, but this is a more cost-saving measure for the console. Game access. Now we are back to being uneven again, as both devices have access to very different game libraries. So let's start with the Switch 2, as it will have direct access to Nintendo games. This applies mostly to games that will have been made specifically for this console, whether they come from the Nintendo Store or cartridges. Now, there is something else to keep in mind with the Switch 2: backward compatibility. There has been no direct statement from Nintendo saying that I can access my old Switch games, but there is some hope. Traditionally, Nintendo has always favored the idea of backward compatibility, which is why you could play GameCube games on the Wii. When they went to the Switch, backward compatibility was lost, and people were waiting for it to return. Regarding the Ally, the gaming possibilities are expansive. I can go to my Steam library and download the games I own. I can play anything from indie games to AAA titles, though the latter might need some settings changed. From there, I can go to my Microsoft account and the Epic Games Store and grab any games I want from there. I can even use PS Remote Play to use PlayStation games. So, the Ally is a Steam Deck that allows me to use all of my other game services. I can even use Microsoft Game Pass on it, so there are no real limitations to the games I can choose from. Some newer games might need to have their settings reduced to play on the system, but this is simply a fantastic way to take my library around with me. Storage. Now, with such great game libraries available to both systems, there does come the question of storage. You'll need good storage if you want to play these games on the go, and I think there are good options for each console. The Nintendo Switch had a fairly modest storage amount of 32 GB, a fairly decent starter amount for a Nintendo console. I would expect the Switch 2 to have at least that much, but traditionally it should have more, so we might see an upgrade. At the bare minimum, it would not be unreasonable to think a 64 GB drive could be in the next model. The Ally has a far more substantial storage unit, coming in at 512 GB. Now, that is because the games it will download are far larger than that of the Switch 2. You can augment that with a built-in SD card slot, but we'll talk about that a little later. Both consoles can have their storage augmented further by buying extra storage that can take them both up into the terabytes for storage. But those will cost extra, and these are just what comes with the consoles. Price. Now, I'm sure you're wondering exactly how much this will cost you, and this is where we see all of the differences come to a head. It is estimated that the Nintendo Switch 2 will have a price point of about $399, making it $50 more expensive than its predecessor, but the upgrades could be worth it. The Asus ROG Ally starts at $599, but if you want the best experience, the Extreme model is $699. That is a steep price increase, but the differences are also steep. Conclusion. While neither of these consoles is better, there are some differences that you might want to keep in mind when looking at them. Nintendo is the console of your childhood. You play the games you want with the characters you want, whether for Pokemon or Zelda, and of course, Mario. While we do not have an official release date yet for the Switch 2, we have had enough leaks to guess when it will be out. The release for the Switch 2 appears to be in 2025 because Nintendo says it will only focus on the Switch up to March 2024. After that, it will only focus on support, which suggests they will turn their attention elsewhere. If you are actually able to play AAA games on the go, then you can't get any better than the Asus ROG Ally. I can play almost every game I own anywhere I want, which is a great feeling. You may want to watch for the SD card slot, which is too hot, but that is a rare issue and it goes under warranty. Otherwise, it is a great console.